Okay, so we can sit quietly just for a few minutes before we go off to our work projects. Yesterday's Dhamma reflection in the afternoon, Ajahn Siri was just talking about one of the aspects of just how people can be motivated or demotivated by certain actions, and how the same action for one person might inspire them and have them strive to do better, or to ignite some sort of desire to learn. That exact same procedure in somebody else could like demoralize them. And I remember Ajahn Amaro sort of talking about at one point, like he used to take pride in his like ability to memorize and to be a really good chanter, and then he got some feedback like at one point that he was actually sort of like demoralizing some people. Like, so he was actually like quite happy with his I don't know if happy is the right word, but it just was felt good about his chanting and thought it was good and inspiring. But then to find out that wow, that act that probably a lot of people did find inspiring was to some people who maybe didn't have that ability to memorize, or maybe have the ear to harmonize with other people, could take that same beautiful act and kind of beat themselves up by it. And so and I hear stories like this, or like what Ajahn Siri was talking about. It really should create a bit of sensitivity in us to realize that it's not that we shouldn't try to be the best chanter, or we shouldn't be good at what we do, even being happy and taking pride in it. And sometimes I get a little bit self-conscious about showing people the icons that I'm painting. And I was showing it to somebody the other day, and they made the comment that they just recently became a grandparent, and they said, "Oh, I realized that when I started showing the postman photos of my grandchild, that I was probably going too far. I should probably at least wait till someone's asked 2 or 3 times to see the photo before I'll start showing them, instead of just showing complete strangers my photos." And I looked at her, and I'd already gone on probably for 20 minutes talking to her about my icons, and I said, "I should probably do the same thing with my icons." And she just laughed, but then she wrote back and said, "No, don't," because I'd have had no idea to ask you about them, or some people do find that it's an interesting kind of practice that we don't really teach a lot about here, talk about. So like, how would anybody even know to talk about it? But it might actually be inspiring to them. So I take kind of feedback like that, like, well, yeah, that's that is true, but it's probably also true that there are people thinking, boy, what a waste of time. You should be meditating, you should be following the breath. And, or if someone is extremely talented artist, they look at that and go, yeah, what a waste of time. He's got a long way to go. Or someone who has no talent might look at that and feel kind of helpless or hopeless if they're trying to be an artist. And so I think all of this sort of points to it's not that sort of talking about the artwork or being a good chanter or being brilliant at giving Dhamma talks or just being a really good manager in the kitchen. It's like none of that's right or wrong, but just to realize that we have very clear intentions, hopefully, of why we're speaking, why we're trying to communicate. But just always knowing that we'd probably be lucky if 50% of the time what we're trying to convey is actually conveyed. And so not to get upset if somebody, we perceive them to be rude, or to, sometimes someone can do something and you think, well, they're doing just the exact opposite of what I asked them to do. You know, they must be angry at me, or you know. And when I was the work monk, I used to occasionally sort of would be just baffled by why people did certain actions during the work scene when I gave them what I thought was really clear instructions. And so instead of getting angry, I decided to ask people, what did you hear me ask you to do this morning? They'd tell me, and then I'd show them what they did. And they'd actually use my own words to justify what they did. And I could actually see, like, oh, I get it, like, you know, why you did that. And sometimes it just wasn't enough information, or something happened during the work scene that you know, I hadn't anticipated, and so they had to make adjustments. And so it just really showed me that communications and speech is a really necessary, but it's a flawed way. And so really it's like just coming back to being open and trying to be non-judgmental and receptive. And you know, I always feel like in this community in particular, like, yeah, if there are disagreements or misunderstandings, you know, if we have that openness, we can at least talk about it and find out, you know, okay, why that happened, or you know, even better yet is just to trust people, that people have the best intentions, and if it's not anything serious, well, just okay, you know, I was misunderstood, that's all right. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the situation. That's okay, you know, as long as it's not harming anybody. So I'll just leave these few thoughts for our reflection this morning.